Hello, welcome to the podcast with Danny Louise Smith. I'm excited to introduce your business growth queens to Samantha Hyam, who's a course creation consultant. And today we're going to be talking about moving from the one-to-one business model into the one-to-many so that you can have more time, freedom, energy, and of course, income. And for those of you that have known me, that followed me, listen to my podcast live, you will know this topic lights me up. So I'm excited to speak to Samantha about this today. Before we get into this, Samantha, do you want to introduce yourself, who you are, a bit of your story, and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So as Danny said, my name is Samantha Hyam. I am a course curation consultant. So I essentially help women in their expertise, usually coaches and consultants, package their expertise into a course, a program, a workshop to add another business asset and revenue income into their business. I've been serving women for over a decade in business, predominantly in the mindset self-development niche, and transitioned quite quickly into teaching women how to live a life they love and have a business that they love that aligns with the life that they want, via the one-to-many model.
Oh, just excites me because it's just so aligned with who I work with, what I talk about. So it's yes, really exciting to talk about this. So for anyone that's listening who's possibly not sure what the one-to-many business model is, could you just kind of put a bit of emphasis on this and what that looks like?
Yeah, so essentially when we first start out in business, usually service providers will be offering like one-to-one hourly rate services, right? So if you're a coach, you may be offering an hour for a client, for each client, right? But usually that gets quite draining and it starts to kind of impede on other areas of your life. So the one-to-many model is essentially you working with more than one client. So for example, with courses or programs, you could be running a group course or a group program where you get to show up as just yourself, because there is only one of you, and you get to serve many, and that can be even worldwide, depending on your clientele. And what that does is it gives you more time. If you think about if you did like a 10-week course, you could be showing up maybe once a week, again, depending on your course details and things like that. And you could be serving maybe 10 to 20 or 30 or 50 people, regardless of how many there are. You would be making more money and saving more time instead of serving those potentially 20 people or however many people you have in the course individually. So it's basically you serving many more people with your expertise and this is a big one for me, still getting them results. And I have to say,
Yes.
Danny, because I think a lot of people in my experience, especially being in the online space for a long time, thought they could put out courses and programs and it's all about the money and it's about getting the people in and and actually it's not. It's about getting people results. So that's also
Yeah.
a really important part of my work, is ensuring that your clients are getting what they paid for.
It's really interesting, isn't it? So I run group programs. I have my one-to-one, I have done since I started. But I actually went straight into a membership model. I don't currently have a membership, but I have, like you said, I literally have 20 clients between two programs at the moment. And one of the questions I get a lot is, well, how do you do it? Because I've got like nearly 30 clients. And they're like, well, how do you do it? How do you do it? And this is literally the answer, isn't it? Because you've got those people in different containers doing different focus areas, like you said, with their particular sets of skills, we can do different things. And I love that. So there's some massive benefits of transitioning into course creation. I'd love to kind of touch upon those as well for anyone that's listening. So the freedom of time and money and energy, and obviously the income. But is there any other, or deeper with those benefits, or any other benefits that you've found from transitioning into this model for your business?
I always say that when you learn the skill of creating a course or a program and it's curated, not just created to get results for your clients, you've essentially got a business asset and a skill within yourself that you can use time and time again. So with some
Yeah.
clients, they're creating courses to put at the front end of a funnel, to warm up a cold audience. With some clients, they use their course or their program as an upsell or even a downsell. So they're constantly making sales in some way or form. And it's an asset. I use that word a lot because people just, you know, they think, all right, I'm making a course. I'm like, well, no, you've got a money-making asset here. And it can create so much freedom for you and additional income for you, depending on your business model. So there's various ways that you can use your course or your program. It's not just a case of, hey, here's my course. It can replace your one-to-one. It can be part of your product suite, you know.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, especially for women, again, in my experience and working with women for over a decade, a lot of women start their businesses because they envision a certain lifestyle. They have other commitments, such as, like, for me, I was a single mom, right? I didn't want to be in the 9 to 5. I didn't want to have to come home exhausted. I didn't want that life. But when I was doing the one-to-one model, I soon found that I was too tired to give my kids attention in the evening. I was irritable. I wasn't showing up as the person that I wanted to be. And so when your business is not in alignment, or you haven't got things in place and you're not working smart, right?
Yes.
It will impact your all the other areas in your life. So we've got to get that right. If we went in with a vision for, hey, I want to create a lifestyle, I want a lifestyle where I can afford to take my kids out, or I can afford to, like, energetically spend time with my kids, we've got to make sure that our business model is working in alignment with that. And then you find that the other areas of your life also benefit from it.
That's so true. And I can think of like clients I've worked with and people in my audience that have been out are going through this still. And I see often like they cap themselves because like, yeah, you easily, and I've done this before in my previous business, I got capped like because I was doing the whole business was one to many actually, because I was making things for individual customers and it became overwhelming because all of a sudden I actually had like 10 people or 10 things a week to make. And I was capped at that because I could only earn so much money in that time that I had. And I've seen clients go through the same thing where they're fully booked with one-to-one, which is amazing. But then if you want to grow your business, it might take another investment. So your profit goes down. So we need to then raise that minimum again, don't we? That baseline. And so what do we do to get out of that? It's obviously this has got to be the answer. We've got to add new income streams. And I really like the sound of how you said it's curated and not just created. I love that. Play on words I always love. So when you are curating a course, what would be your top tips for getting started and coming away from just having a one-to-one model and into the one-to-many?
So when we curate anything, we are being strategic, right? We are looking, we're being conscious, and we're saying, right, okay, this is what the result that I want to get my client, where this is where she is. Now, what are the steps to get her from A to B? Just like you would do with your one-to-one service, right? It's the same thing for a course or a program. You want your client to be able to get an end result that will serve them, where they can turn around and go, oh my God, I did Danny's course and you've got to jump on this, and they're going to talk and it's going to be brilliant for you, right? So you want to be able to work it out step by step, the journey of your client. But one thing I also say to people is we also want to get our clients little wins along the way.
Yeah.
And those little wins are motivational. So if you can imagine, like, you're going to the gym, right? Like, I've been there. So you go to the gym and you're doing a few sit-ups, and then you go home, it's like, where's the six-pack? It takes time, right? It takes time. However, when that six-pack or that line starts showing, you're like, hell yeah, I'm going back to the gym because I started to see results. This is good. So we want to be able to give our clients little tangible results or changes to their thinking or their actions along the way that leads them to the bigger outcome. Because we have to always remember, our clients have certain belief systems. They've been doing certain things thus far that's led them to be in this place where they're not happy and they want to change it. So we've got to work in a very psychological way with them, and also give them little outcomes along the way that will say to them, you're on the right track, keep going, and have them going, oh my God, a few weeks into this course and I've done this, or this has happened. What's next? So it keeps that excitement and momentum going. How many times have we done courses where we've said, yeah, I'll get around to that, and then we just dropped off?
Yeah.
You know, so we want to be able to curate something where they're seeing their own progress along the way. And another thing that I often advise as well when we're curating is try and get like a community or some kind of support network for your clients as well. Because again, when you are surrounded by people on the same mission, it is encouraging, it is motivational. You can share your wins, you can share your down moments, whatever, but it helps to keep you afloat throughout the program. I know that a lot of people, when they do courses and programs on their own, the drop-off rate is high, right? So when you have a system in place or a community in place as well that supports that, or some level of support, especially when it's your first course, I always say that, which if it's your first course, be in your first course with them as well, because you're also going to be tweaking and getting feedback. But it helps to encourage the results that they will get. And also, let's not forget, let's try and make it a bit fun. So add some gamification to your programs and your courses. Make it something that feels like it's a pleasure to be doing as well. That can be like quizzes, like winners boards and things like that, certificates along the way, just something that makes it motivating and they're able to see the little steps of progress that they're making along the way. Other things that I would recommend.
I love that. And it sounds to me that you don't only just help people curate it and have this new asset in the business, but you actually make them a better service-based business owner, like to deliver a better, like managing their clients, whether they're a coach or whatever service it is. It sounds like they improve that and the way they're serving with you, which I love. And I love that you talked about gamification because I've just introduced that in my world right now. Something new that I'm doing is my mini mastermind. And when I came into this, it is actually the first round, like you say. So it's a very much a beta version because I want that feedback before I go big with it towards the end of the year. And I was like, how can I make sure these people take the action, be consistent throughout? And don't make, there's 12 of them. And out of that 12, I think there's 3 that haven't. The others, wow, it's just amazing. There is a massive community there helping each other, like you say. And I've gamified it. So at the end of the month, I'm actually going to share like who the contributor to the group is. Like Facebook tells you that information, might as well use it. I only have to take a few seconds to share that information with them because then they'll get excited that they're the one that's been helping others in the group and in that community. And then I can remind them that at the end of this, I'm actually giving a prize available to the person who has been the most involved, because I know that if I gamify it, they get involved, they do the work, they're going to get the most out of it for their business, and I want to reward that. And I think it's fun to do as the service provider as well. So I love that you mentioned that because I think people overlook that we can play with it, we can have fun with it. We're definitely allowed to do that. So when people are going from one to many, do you find there are some common challenges that come up for business owners? I love how you smiled because I can see you thinking of them already. What do you think those are that come up and how to overcome them?
So one of the biggest things that I've heard back is about tech, right? Like, oh, I'm so good at tech, I can't do it, you know. And I get it because there's so many different ways of hosting a course, right? Like a lady said to me the other day, she was just like, oh, you know, is it expensive to create a course and have it on these platforms, blah, blah. And I said, listen, I know there are people out there that host their course on YouTube as an unlisted playlist. That's free. It really is dependent on that. And I think I've noticed with women in particular, not all obviously, but on a whole, in my experience, they find tech very mind-boggling and overwhelming. Another complaint is I haven't got the time. Or I've been thinking about this, you know, I've been thinking about this idea for years and I haven't had the time. And what that actually, the message under that actually is, have I got the time to actually be researching all this stuff that I need to do? Because in their mind, course creation is complicated, right? And then we have to throw the mindset part in, procrastination. Am I good enough? Am I expert enough? What if I sound awful online? What if I look awful? Like I want to go faceless, but all of these things. And then before you know it, you're sat in front of Netflix, binging on your next series. Which
Yeah, you talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, I've got nothing against that. I love a good Netflix series, but months have then passed and it's like, you know, you've left so much money on the table. So I think it's a variety of things. A lot of it is the mindset side of it, but a lot of it is, you know, I've heard back from women like, oh, I've done these programs, I've done these courses, and I didn't leave with anything, and I didn't get creating, and there was something that stopped them. And with my services, I recognize that, and that's why right now, where if you were to come and work with me, you'd be working with me, as in I'm in it with you, walking hand in hand, organizing you, telling you, let's do this, you know, like that. Because a lot of it is a confidence thing as well as a skill set that they don't have yet. But yeah, the key ones are overwhelm, procrastination, tech, worries. Will it sell? Will it sell?
Yes.
And this is another one, like, you know, I've done it. Right at the beginning of my journey, I slogged away for months and months and months because a few people said, yeah, I would buy the course. Not one sale came from it, not one. And it was awful. So I get it. But whenever I deal with clients, we actually look before the course. So we look at the audience, we look at their business model as it stands, we look at their clientele, we do things to prepare for a course, if that makes sense. There's a preparation period where you're kind of laying foundations, you're warming up your audience, you're kind of dropping in here and there, you're talking to people, asking them for their feedback in terms of would you be interested, you know, all of these type of things, depending on your business model, that you lay before you create a course. One thing I'd never say to anyone is just go and create a course.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
You've got to do your research. Don't be, you know.
I've actually done podcast episodes just on this and how it went for me, because I did the same thing. Like last year, I decided to completely revamp my existing mastermind because it wasn't exactly what I wanted. Got really passionate and excited, used my skill set, and I mapped out this amazing mastermind, launched it based on the research I'd done, what people wanted, and no one came into it. And one of my friends at the time, I was at a retreat for the weekend, and I was saying, oh, it just didn't work out. And she's like, so Danny, what are you going to do next? And most people in that situation go, I'm going to do something else. But I actually said, I'm just going to do it again. And I did do it again. And that time I brought in 4 clients, and then I brought in some more, and then some more. And it still exists today. And it's my most favorite service to offer because I'm so aligned with it, and it speaks to the right ideal client and the results that we can get from working together for 6 months. And that doesn't come about by not, you know, listening to that mindset that you were talking about. I've had the conversation just this morning around tech for a client who actually does want to start a course. She's very in the beginning of a business and she wants to start a course, but tech holds people back. And I just said to her, look, I have many women that I work with, and tech holds them back mainly because they want a system to do that, which costs money. And they're like, because they've not made that money yet, because the course doesn't exist, they hold back. And I'm like, look, it's an investment in your business. So like the course you want to create or thing you want to create, like it doesn't exist. It can't make you money until you do the thing that's going to make that happen. So I like when I was at this stage, I was only 3 months into my business, and I made a big investment in an all-in-one system. And I don't regret that one bit because I know the amount of money it's allowed me to make with offering different products in my product suite. And it's so important. And I think people get so wrapped up in that mindset of it's going to cost me money, it's going to take so much time, but it's about prioritizing what you actually want, isn't it? And seeing that vision for yourself and where you can take it. Have you got any final thoughts or messages to women that are in this place that are feeling, as you say, like we've just said, actually, like not enough time, or they've been sitting on this idea for years and not yet done it? And they want to go from one to many. Maybe they've even got an existing business and they just need to get started on a course. What message would you say to them?
2 parts. Okay, so my business motto is get skilled, get visible, get successful. Okay, so if you've already, let's say, got an established business and you know you have one-to-one, back-to-back, and you are almost like repeating yourself to clients, I want you to actually think about, if I had let's say, an extra 5 to 10 hours per week, or however many hours it is, what would I be doing in that time? Because when we see, like, when we have a space of time or even extra money, what would I be doing with that extra money? It gets the brain to start visualizing, start imagining, and it gets you excited. I think the biggest thing I say to my clients is, like, look, the hardest part for me in my experience of creating a course is actually putting the course together, right? And so, as you said, right at the beginning of your journey, you made a big investment and you're seeing that return of investment, right? But you also have to have the mindset to say, I'm going to see this investment through. I believe in myself enough to know that actually I'm going to do this and I'm going to see it through to the end. And if it doesn't work out, I'm going to reevaluate. I'm going to look at everything I did, everything I didn't, and do it again. I always say to my clients, your first course or program is going to be the worst one you ever make. And they go,
That's so true.
so I know. And I'm like, yes, it will. And here's why. Because you're going to be in it. You're going to be seeing what works, what maybe doesn't work. You're going to be tweaking. You're going to be getting feedback, and you're going to be continuously evolving and improving your products and your services, just like you should be doing in your business anyway. So the biggest piece here is, do you believe in yourself enough to say, I want a better life? And I'm going to take the action to do it. And a lot of the time we spend a lot of time thinking and not taking the action. Remember, our businesses, they won't move until we do. So maybe it is, let's say, getting on a call with yourself, asking you, you know, what are your tips and things, you know, what's your experience of creating a course? Getting on a call with me. I offer free calls, like a few free calls for whoever, really, just to kind of see if I can help people in the world, give advice, you know, what the experience is like of making a course. But also start thinking about, like, you know, get your numbers in. Think, okay, if I was to do a course and I was to help 10 people, how much money would I be making from that? What would I do with that money? How would my life change if I have that one-to-many model? Because it will. And it will change for the better. But as all things in business, and in fact in life, anything new is going to feel scary. Anything new is going to, you know, release the mind monkeys and have you thinking all sorts. But as you said, with the mindset side of things, am I going to let that stop my business from growing? And am I going to let that stop me from experiencing the lifestyle that I want? You know?
It is. Yeah, we've got to not let all of that, any of that, get in the way, and see that vision of what it can take you and let that take charge, like you say. I highly agree with that. If someone does want to take a free call with you and come and speak to you about curating their new program, course, whatever that looks like, how can they come and find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. So it's at Samantha Hyam Course Creation. You can go directly to my website. It's www.samanthahyam.com. And I'm on LinkedIn, but I am mainly on Instagram and on my website.
Oh, you're so easy to find, and all the links will be in the show notes and everything like that for you to come and connect with Samantha. And I'm also pleased to announce that Samantha is actually a headline sponsor at my book launch event. So if you've been watching and following, and it's before the event actually happens, because this podcast will be evergreen, come and get a ticket booked so you can meet Samantha in person and actually speak to her about this as well, and come and hear her speak, because that'll be amazing. I'm so excited about it. And then I've just got one more question to ask Samantha that I ask all my guests on the podcast, and that is, what would be your biggest tip for being organised within your business?
Good question, because I am the to-do list queen. I've had people call me that. Foresight. So, for example, I'm already thinking about my services and how my business is going to look from like towards the end of the year, early next year, to be honest with you. I plan out my week, maybe the weekend before or even that. So I have things, and also I will say as well, I can be a little bit scatty. And so I make sure I've got a diary, I've got it in my Google Calendar, I've got things written down on a physical calendar that I can see in my living room. So it's always around me and I never forget. But really kind of sitting down, creating that time to sit down and really structuring your weeks or months ahead so you can see a pathway in front of you that will invite you to stick to it.
Yes, definitely. I agree with that. I actually did a live this morning talking about because at the time of recording this, we're in Q3, and I was talking about why we should be working on Q4 now. And there's so many business, even successful ones, don't look that far ahead. And I've only done this for about a year now, but just like you, I already know what I'm going to be doing in Q4, even at the beginning of 2025. Some of that may change, some of that may not, but just having that vision, that plan
Mm.
means that I can execute efficiently and make all of that happen. And funny enough, it does involve new options that are going one to many. So
Mm.
I'm practicing what I preach and doing what we've talked about today because it's really important to do research now and take those
Yeah.
actions now and be organized with that in order to make it happen further down the line. So I really love that you said that because no one's come on here and said that. So it
But if
just
you think
backs up
about
what I
it as
say.
well, Danny, right? How many times have we been into shops and it's like months ahead before like Valentine's Day or Christmas,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Everyone, well, these big businesses do it. Like we need to be doing that as smaller businesses.
I agree because I've had this conversation with friends actually like, oh, it's September and the shops are already like Asda's already starting to get the Christmas decks out and the Christmas offers and I'm like, yeah, because they're in business and they've got to capitalize on this big event that's happening that everybody's going to be buying for. And we are just the same. Like, I can guarantee you at this time of year, it's only summer, but Asda will already know what they are selling for
Yeah.
Christmas. They will predict, they know what is going to be the big seller. There's always that big selling toy that everybody's chasing. And so they will know what that's going to be because they are on it. Their marketing teams are on it. Like even so, like the bigger brands, the smaller brands, all the same. We've got to act the same. We've got to treat ourselves like
Yeah.
the marketing expert, the CEO, and be ahead of time, don't we? Like I hear it all the time. Just after Christmas, I'm sure like this time it happened. My local Morrison's Daily had Easter eggs on the
Yeah.
shelves, like mini eggs, and I never see them sold until after Christmas. And then I walked in and I'm like, oh, I was like buzzing because I can get some mini eggs. And other people were like, Easter eggs already. Let's get over Christmas. But in reality, people get a monthly wage if they're self-employed. They need to budget, so
Yeah.
they might buy the gifts or they might invest in a course creation or whatever it is way ahead of time. And I do. I'm the same. I start saving for Christmas from January. Like I am ridiculous with how organized I am, but it is true. It's so important.
I love that. I'm already buying Christmas presents.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
right. So I'm not going to be like at the end of the year getting super stressed out. I can't do it. It's so important that we just like even little things like this, as you know, like we're talking about with the shops and things like that and what they're promoting, use that as an invitation to maybe go away and just be like, actually, I need to plan
Yeah.
out a little bit. I need to maybe know what's happening in a few months. And it just leaves you feeling much more in control of your business as well,
Yes.
you know?
Definitely. And just think like if me and you are someone's ideal client and they're not already prepared, they're not going to sell to us. Someone else will snap up that chance,
Yeah.
which is why we need to do this work. That's why it's so important. Whether it is being organized in your business or if you're creating a new course, it's so important to be ahead of the game so that you
Yeah.
can get those ideal clients signing with you and not someone else. Because there's always going to be that other shiny thing that they
Mhm.
can gravitate towards. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a really good one of my most favourite episodes, I have to admit. So I'm probably going to invite Sam back again because you are amazing at what you do, and I think we're going
Oh,
to need
thank
to
you.
hear some more. Thank you so much.